This is what a 1-minute exposure looks like through my camera and telescope pointed towards the constellation Cassiopeia, and all we can see are stars. Yet, hidden within this picture is a nebula that appears many times bigger than the full moon in the sky, but we can't see it. In fact, it's so hard to detect that it has the nickname the Ghost of Cassiopeia, and in this video I'm going to photograph it. But what's the story behind this nebula, and since it's so faint, how can I get a good image of it? You might recognize Cassiopeia. It's the famous constellation in the northern sky that looks like the letter W. And it's around the central star where we find the Ghost of Cassiopeia. It's not a well-known object like the Horsehead Nebula, for example. Neither is it a star-forming region like the Rosette Nebula. There's no stars being created here. Instead, it's the energy from that big, bright star in the center of the constellation that makes the Ghost of Cassiopeia glow red. It wasn't discovered until the 1890s, which is actually pretty recently for a night sky object. And as we saw, it didn't show up in that 1-minute exposure. So how can we get a good photo of it? There's two things that will really help us out. The first is this filter, which I absolutely love. It's been amazing and has powered some of my favorite photos I've ever taken over the last year or so. It blocks out a lot of the light pollution while allowing the red light, which comes from the hydrogen inside of this nebula, to shine through, creating a sharp image with nice contrast. But by far, the most important thing will be taking lots and lots of pictures. One short exposure, as we've already seen, has lots of noise. The more photos you take, you begin to average it out, cutting through the noise to reveal what's really there. It's always a big transformation watching those individual exposures turn into the final image. But because of how faint and difficult the Ghost of Cassiopeia is to capture, this one should be the most dramatic transformation of them all. But doing this will be a big effort. A couple hours or even one full night of imaging won't be enough. This will be a multiple night project, and it starts right now. To catch the Ghost of Cassiopeia, I'll be using my usual setup that might look familiar. The most important piece is my wide-field refractor telescope, the William Optics RedCat 51. This nebula appears roughly 4 times as wide as the full moon in the sky, so you don't need a big telescope to capture it. And it's these types of targets where this telescope really shines. Attached to the back of the scope will be my ZWO astronomy camera, and it'll all be on top of my Skywatcher mount. The fall is probably my favorite time for astrophotography. It's still warm enough outside to be comfortable, but the nights are starting to get longer, which means more time to take photos. I should be able to get about 8 hours of imaging time on the Ghost of Cassiopeia tonight. If I do that over the course of several nights, it'll add up to a ton of photos pretty quickly, and that's exactly what we need if I want to reveal this nebula. With a dark and clear night ahead, it's time to start imaging. Right after sunset, Cassiopeia rises above the trees, with the Ghost of Cassiopeia right there in the middle. Here's a look at my first 3-minute exposure. Like our first picture, there's not much to see here besides the stars. If you look closely, now we can start to see something. It's the red glow of the Ghost of Cassiopeia emerging from the background. There's still a lot more work to be done, and at this point it's all about taking as many pictures as possible to hopefully cut through the noise and reveal this nebula. This night was the start of an incredible stretch of weather, with one of the longest runs of clear nights I can ever remember. And this is exactly what we need if we want to reveal this nebula. I was able to get outside, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but for 4 nights over the course of a week. After taking hundreds of images, now it's time to stack them all together and take a look at what we got. In total, I took 432 pictures of the Ghost of Cassiopeia. Each one was 3 minutes long, which adds up to over 21.5 hours of total exposure time. That's by far the most amount of time I've ever spent photographing a target. And here's the final result. I love how this one turned out. It has a really cool effect where it almost looks like the nebula blends into the background, which is one reason why I think it earned the nickname the Ghost of Cassiopeia. The other reason is that this area of the nebula here, some people say it looks like the figure of a ghost, or maybe a person in a ghost costume. And right there, just above it, is that bright star in the middle of the constellation. Now let's take a look at the picture with the stars removed, which is actually a step you take when editing the image. But I think it's helpful for us to look at here, because now we're only seeing the nebula. And what I wasn't expecting is just how much is going on here. I knew that this main section of the nebula was there, but that hydrogen, that red light, it completely fills the picture. That faint red glow is everywhere, and it's all powered by that bright star in the middle of the constellation. This really stands out without all of the other stars in the way. This is one of the reasons why I love taking pictures of space, because often you reveal things you didn't know about. And the magic of astrophotography is that the harder you look, the more photos you take, the more you discover. This is what happens when you get more than 20 hours of exposure time. The before and after transformation from our first picture to the final result is stunning. And I never knew that this much was going on inside one of our most recognizable constellations. And don't forget how big this nebula is. Here's the size of the full moon in the sky for comparison. If the Ghost of Cassiopeia was brighter, if our eyes could see it, we could easily make it out. Our night sky is filled with wonders like this all over, and I plan to keep sharing them with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.